Basic psychology. Idiographic and Nomothetic approaches. The Idiographic Approach. The Idiographic approach focuses on understanding the individual as a unique entity, rather than trying to create general laws of behavior.
That's interesting. How does it differ from other approaches in psychology?
Unlike the Nomothetic approach, which aims to identify universal laws, the Idiographic approach is a qualitative method that emphasizes the subjective experiences, motivations, and values of the individual.
Can you give me an example of the Idiographic approach?
Sure, the work of Sigmund Freud and his case study of little Hans is a great example of the Idiographic approach. Freud focused on understanding the individual's unique perspective and experiences.
I see. And what about humanistic psychologists? How do they use the Idiographic approach?
Humanistic psychologists also favor the Idiographic approach, as they are interested in studying the whole person and understanding the world from the individual's perspective.
That makes sense. So the Idiographic approach is more about gaining in-depth insights into human behavior rather than relying on numerical data and trends?
Exactly. The Idiographic approach uses qualitative methods, such as unstructured interviews and case studies, to explore the unique experiences of the individual. The Nomothetic Approach. The Nomothetic approach looks to explain behavior through the development of general principles and universal laws.
Interesting. So it's about finding common patterns and trends across a large number of people?
Exactly. It's closely aligned with the scientific method, involving experiments and the study of large numbers of people.
I see, so it's more focused on quantitative methods and statistical analysis to draw general conclusions.
Yes, that's right. Some examples of the Nomothetic approach include behaviorist explanations like classical and operant conditioning.
I'm familiar with those. And what about cognitive psychology?
Cognitive psychology is also a Nomothetic approach, as it aims to develop general laws of behavior that can be generalized through cognitive processes.
I see, so the Nomothetic approach is really about finding universal principles and patterns in human behavior.
Exactly, it's a powerful tool for understanding and predicting behavior on a larger scale. Evaluting Idiographic and Nomothetic approaches. The Nomothetic approach is the majority of psychology. It focuses on finding patterns and trends in behavior, which allows for predictions and interventions.
I see, so that's the more scientific and practical approach. What about the Idiographic approach?
The Idiographic approach is more focused on the individual and their unique experiences. It's time-consuming, but can provide a deeper understanding of the person.
That sounds like it would be better for personalized treatments, but less practical for wider applications.
Exactly. The Nomothetic approach is more efficient, but it can sometimes be too general and not fit individual situations.
That makes sense. So, is one approach better than the other?
Well, some argue that they should be seen as complementary rather than contradictory. Millen and Davis, 1996, suggested starting with the Nomothetic approach to identify patterns, and then using the Idiographic approach for a deeper understanding.
That's an interesting perspective. It seems like both approaches have their strengths and weaknesses, and combining them could provide a more well-rounded understanding.
Absolutely. It's important to recognize the value of both the Nomothetic and Idiographic approaches in psychology.